Well, Dennis Kucinich is a former Democratic congressman from Ohio and a Fox News contributor, and I'm happy to welcome him now. Congressman, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. It's good to be with you.
The critics definitely want to know how you can defend the fact that this happened thousands of times and still call it inadvertent, which is what they're arguing. Can you?
It doesn't pass the smells test. I mean, it's time that government stop the spying and stop the lying. The American people haven't been given a straight story from our government about this right from the beginning. Our Constitution is being attacked. Our Fourth Amendment rights are being annihilated. It has an effect on the First Amendment, the self-censorship that occurs when people are worried about saying things or putting notes on the Internet that might cause the government to start looking over their shoulder. This is not the America that most of us grew up in and believe in. We really need to change this and not just talk about it.
It's the argument that you're making. It's fascinating because Peggy Noonan, in a Wall Street Journal article that she had written, also says privacy lost today, right of free speech tomorrow. Is that where we're headed?
Peggy Noonan's article is worth reading by all Americans because it hits the nail right on the head. You know, what we're being told right now in this time and place is that we don't have any expectation of privacy. Yet privacy is a fundamental human right, and it doesn't come from the government. It's not the government that gives us the right of privacy. We have that before the government is established. And we have to ask ourselves whether or not our government has gotten so far away from the people that it doesn't even understand some of the basic principles on which this particular government was formed.
I want to ask you this, Congressman, because the agency argues that they're run by humans and that this is, human error. But when you're talking about a security agency and our national security, should we not have the very best humans you can find and strict guidelines that make sure that our privacy isn't obstructed? It is a tenet, as you say, that we hold very valuable in this country.
We're all human. We accept that. But there's another question here that's even deeper. Are these humans who read the Constitution of the United States, who understand the Fourth Amendment against unreasonable search and seizure? Do these humans understand the First Amendment from which all these other rights are protected? So it's not adequate to accept the NSA's explanations, but they don't make the final call. This final call is made in the White House, and the President cannot settle this with Jay Leno on the Tonight Show. He has to come before the American people and say what he's going to do about stopping this overreach by the government into the private lives of the American people. It's time that we reclaim the country that we know and love. And it begins with affirming the basic principles in the Constitution, and our president has to firmly stand on the side of that, not with words, not with fancy speeches, but with actual executive action that strongly constrains the activities of the National Security Agency.
I hear what you're saying, and I hear what you're calling for, and they are tasked with protecting our privacy, our government, at the same time rooting out terror and national security threats. But I'm wondering, the thing that troubles lawyers like myself is the fact that they went on with methodology for a period of time without advising the FISA court, who is also responsible for overseeing their methods. And then they came later and said, oh, by the way, we're doing it this way. And it was ruled unconstitutional. So for the type of transparency and enforcement you want, when is it going to come and who has to call for it?
Well, what you just described is an obstruction of justice that occurred within the system, the subversion of the FISA court and their oversight responsibilities. This is something that's very serious. Now, when is it going to come? That's a question the White House has to answer, because NSA it cannot be a law unto itself. And they keep Congress in the dark, they keep FISA in the dark. And either the White House is in the dark or it's complicit in what the NSA is doing.
I'm glad you're raising the issue. The President should be able to explain
which one.
I'm glad you're raising the issue and the call to action. And, Congressman, it's good to see you, former Democratic Congressman Dennis Kucinich.
Thank you.
Welcome to the team, sir.
Thank you.